but I'm right now.
Hello, everyone. Happy National Roller Coaster Day. And welcome to the all-new Boardwalk Barbecue Restaurant. I hope you enjoyed your meals. Well, I wanted to start off by thanking you all for being with us here tonight for this exciting announcement for our all-new attraction coming in 2018. Now, I'd have to say, we've really enjoyed the speculation that's been out there about what's to come. Some guesses have been pretty darn close, almost too close. Some guesses couldn't be farther off. But regardless, we always enjoy the passion that you guys have for our park. Now, before we officially spill the beans on what's to come, we want to share with you a little bit of our evolution, our legacy, and the innovation throughout the years. So here you go. To talk about what's next is our VP and General Manager, John Storbeck.
So she forgot to say someone actually guessed it exactly. We won't tell you who that was, but you know, National Roller Coaster Day, talking about a roller coaster history, that gives you a little hint, doesn't, about what we're going to talk about today. So thank you all for joining us this evening. I'm so appreciative that you came out and spending a little time with us this evening. And I'm also really excited that you had the opportunity to try the food at Boardwalk Barbecue. It's our newest restaurant here at Knott's, and we're very, very proud of it. And you're going to have the opportunity later on to hear a little bit more about the restaurant and what's going on here in our food and beverage area. You know, Knott's is, it's no secret that Knott's evolved from a humble little berry stand to be one of Southern California's most popular theme park destinations. We're very, very proud of that history, but we always want to have an eye toward the future. And Knott's has played, as you saw in this video, a significant role in theme park history, and in particular in roller coaster history. As Cherie told you, we had the very first corkscrew inversion coaster in 1990, the very first flywheel launch coaster, and the very first hydraulically launched coaster here. And we are excited to share with you tonight another first here at Knott's Berry Farm. So coming in 2018, we are going to debut the first dive coaster on the West Coast with the steepest drop in California. It is a Gerstlauer infinity coaster that we call HangTime. HangTime is going to be unlike any coaster we have in the park and is sure to excite even the most daring coaster fan. And it's another great addition to our boardwalk themed area. So, picture? Well, I'll tell you what, a picture's worth 1,000 words, but I have somebody else that's going to come up here that has 1,000 words to share with you. And that's our Vice President of Maintenance and Project Development, Jeff Gahagan. Jeff?
Welcome, everybody. Like John mentioned, we did have the first in a lot of launch coasters. We had the two. We had the first free spinning coaster with Mach over in Sierra Sidewinder. And this year we're bringing you HangTime. You can see it here and you're looking at it going, why? What's going on with that ride there? It is, have you heard of the Daredevil dive? Any of you? Ridden that in Six Flags, Georgia? 95 feet. We're going 150 feet. You're hanging at the edge there. We're 2,198 feet, so a lot further. 3 trains with 16 passengers each. And what that is, it's configurations of 4. So there will be 4 rows, 4 guests per row. And the maximum velocity is 57 miles per hour. Now let's get to the fun stuff. The fun part about this ride, I mentioned that it's 150 feet. You're going to go up and you're actually going to hold at the top at 60 degrees for 2 seconds. And what are you going to do? You're going to drop 96 degrees back into it. It actually says 90, but it's actually 96 on the vertical lift. So we're going beyond the 95 that Daredevil Dive does. 3 inversions on Daredevil Dive, we're going 5 inversions. We have a 60-degree holding brake, like I said, at the top of the lift. That'll hold you there for 2 seconds. It'll have a negative G stall loop, which is the second one in the Western Hemisphere. And like we said before, it is the first dive coaster on the West Coast.
Woo!
That's all we get? You guys been waiting since 2013 for this? So the footprint we're going into, you guys have already figured it out. There's been tons of photos out there. And we're going to take you out into the site and show you some of the walkthrough of the location. Coasters, the chain actually has the dog that pulls the train up. A lot of coasters actually usually have the dog on the car. Instead, it's actually being pushed up. What happens if it gets stuck? It actually has magnetic braking coming down. So there is not an actual whole brake on there. It'll actually lower itself all the way down. And then there is actually a platform lift that goes up to the top if for some reason that whole brake at the top was to hold. So those aren't in the illustration stuff for obvious reasons, but that's how it does work. You will hold, like I said, where it is in the picture there, at the 90 degrees before you, for 2 seconds at 60 degrees before you drop back. Will be this. That is where you'll have your 96-degree drop. So you're actually going backwards into it. You will notice as you come through, you go into the negative G roll, which is the surfboard. It's hard to see. It's out there in line with the lights, and actually the lights are making it dark. That's actually the furthest point on the coaster. It actually goes a little bit beyond the surfboard. So that's your first inversion coming in, and you actually have 2 on that loop. One going into it and one coming out of it. As you go through, there's now a white surfboard, which is the, right here. You're coming in, and it's doing somewhat of a corkscrew. It only has 1. You're then coming back towards the station, back past the lift, which is where back to the blue surfboard again, and that's where you'll have the high bank curve. You'll then come in, and you'll go through a cobra roll, but prior to the cobra roll, you're going to see the track disappear. In both of those locations, the track will actually go 5 feet below the midway. So it's actually diving down even lower than our existing midway. You'll go through, and then you'll have inversions 4 and 5, and then come into the brake run, which is on the back stretch. Any questions about it? How do you go straight up? 90 degrees. So it'll actually take 1 train. There is no block system on the ride, so it is just 1 train at a time. There's actually 2 different brakes. Yes?
How powerful is the G-force?
G's, actually we haven't even discussed those at all yet. At all. We've talked about speed. So speed I did not cover was 57 miles per hour in the ride.
Why this kind of coaster?
Why this kind of coaster? Good question. We wanted something that was thrill. We've been focused on family for several years. We did talk about putting the thrill coaster in several years ago, but we wanted to get the whole family back into the park. We finally feel that we have gotten a balance with the family, and we haven't had anything since Silver Bullet came in, so this is now the time to do this.
What's the hourly capacity?
800.
800.
800 guests per hour.
Is it going to be lap bars only?
No, it'll be lap bars. In Cedar Fair, we have seat belts on every single one of our
But I mean,
trains.
but no over the
But
shoulder.
over the shoulder restraints, correct.
How many total inversions?
5 inversions total.
Okay.
So the corkscrew was originally here, Boomerang was originally here with loops, and now we've got a more looping
We have more
corkscrew
loops.
coaster.
So
But why doesn't it have any of the colors from the corkscrew? I noticed it looks a lot like Boomerang. Was there any plan to incorporate some of the corkscrew?
there is a reason. And I did say when we get back over there, I want you to pay attention to the TV. So I will be talking about that more. So there is a reason why these columns are silver and light blue in this area. Those of you that aren't familiar with it, like he did mention, this is where corkscrew was. This is where Boomerang was. Down at the far end is where Hammerhead and Riptide was. So those of you that saw when we ripped out Riptide, It turned into a grass planter. Now you know it was on purpose.
When will this open?
This will open summer of 2018. The other part down at you'll see there is one last building standing. That's the backside of the Hammerhead Riptide building, and that is actually getting torn down next week. So we're going all the way from Charleston Circle up to the Sky Cabin. Yes.
It's a two-car train, and how many trains?
There's 3 trains, and then it's actually, they're actually 4 individual rows,
Right.
is what they are. It's actually not 2 cars of 2. So it's 4 rows, they're each individual.
But is it two connected, or is it one big car?
No, it's 4 connected.
Okay.
So 4 individuals.
Four rows.
Yeah, it's sort of like the Millennial Flyers that we have on Ghost Rider, how the individual seats are individual cars.
What's the time duration?
80 seconds of ride time.
Does it have 1 or 2 loading platforms?
It has 1 loading platform.
Okay.
Are the trains going to have like different themes to each train, or are they all going to be pretty uniform?
They're going to be pretty uniform with the exception of the headrest. They are going to have a surfing theme. So the headrest will actually be themed as surfboards, and those will be intertwined and mixed throughout the board. So they aren't all the same.
How will the queue area look?
The queue area is going to be directly in the middle, right through all the loop areas. You'll actually enter right under the HangTime logo, which is right at the bottom of the lift. There will be a fast lane entry and the regular queue entry. The line is designed to hold 600. Inside that queue, it'll snake back and forth, and we'll be having shade cloths over the top of it, staying with the beach theme in the whole boardwalk area.
Now, when guests ride this, are they able to choose their row, or is it assigned seat?
No, we'll actually have a grouper at the beginning
Okay.
where the fast lane is, and if you want to request the front, because most guests are going to want the front for the hang versus the rear.
Yeah.
Some people will want the rear. Our front is the longest queue line, our back is a little longer, and then the middle 2 are shorter.
Okay.
What's the height requirement?
48 inches,
Do you have pictures?
2 seconds.
Will it have pictures?
What was that? Yes, it will have a ride-off photo. We have not determined the location for it. So as you come off the ride, you'll exit. It's a through station. So you will enter from the inside of the track. You'll exit on the midway side, walk down, and then where the t-shirt shop was that turned into a game, which was a hat shop, that you may remember in Charleston Circle, that'll actually be a merchandise and photo opportunity building going through. And we will feature fun pics in there for anybody that does have the fun pics package with their season pass.
Do you know about how fast it goes up the lift hill, or is it pretty slow?
It's pretty quick.
Okay.
I don't have an actual speed on it, but it is
Okay.
pretty quick when it goes up. Well, the longest time is actually sitting in the hold position. There's a hold right before it. And what happens is there's only one dog on the chain.
Okay.
So it's driving up pretty quick. It gets up pretty high speed, comes down, and then the dog sits there at the bottom. So it's ready to go for the next train while the train's making its way through the cycle. As soon as it gets into the brake run and then into the next block in the brake run, the car will advance where the chain dog is already waiting.
Are there any trims?
Are there any what?
Any trims?
No trims.
Are there going to be cubbies?
We have to determine if we're going to do cubbies or lockers. We have not determined that yet and where those will be.
Will the loading area have ease of access for disability?
Yes, it will. On the exit platform, there will be an elevator and then a holding area inside there before you actually get into the loading area. And that'll be on the unload side, so the midway side. And you'll enter over by the merchandise facility.
Weight restrictions, etc.
It's actually, size-wise, they have a 350 per seat, but that's an average based on the actual train capacity is what it is. So you could have somebody that weighs more as long as they fit in the restraint. There'll be a go, no-go on the restraint coming all the way down. It has to click twice, and then the seatbelt on as well.
Will
And
there
then,
be a way to check that before getting on the ride?
as of now, there is not a test seat. And then on top of that, so seatbelt-wise, think of the ones over at Accelerator. It's almost the same exact restraint, how you have the T-bar, and then you have the tab that you're pulling off to the side so we can speed up the operation. It'll be a different color tab, so the operators can actually see the guest pull on it rather than having to check lap bar and restraint on every single guest.
Is there can you go a little more in detail about the lap bar restraint? What specific type of restraint is it for a lap bar?
They will not read this
Oh, okay.
information. Good try.
What about lighting
Yes.
package?
We'll talk about that when we get back to Boardwalk Barbecue.
Can you tell us cost?
I cannot tell you the cost. A lot.
More than $50?
More than $50, yes. And less than Tower of Terror redo. How's that? Or am I going down for that one?
That's a good one.
All right, let's check it.
Can you tell us who the manufacturer is?
Gerstlauer. This coaster is confusing because it's very similar to a Eurofighter. So if you look at a Eurofighter, but it's called an Infinity, so it's really and I compared it to the Daredevil dive at Six Flags, and that's because it's basically a Eurofighter on steroids, is really what it is. Those cars, because some of the Eurofighters are 8 passengers, they don't actually have the 16 like we do, so it's just a lot bigger of it. It's the Infinity is the next version up. So
How many cars are actually moving on the track at once? Is it just one?
just one, because of the fact there's no brake block.
Okay.
Yes?
You gonna ride it?
Oh, absolutely. I am usually the first one to ride almost every single one of the rides, after the manufacturer allows us to.
And Joe, just so you know, on Periscope, everybody was loving your Tower of Terror comments.
And my daughter works there, so I guess actually, let me rephrase that. My daughter used to work there. I think I just got fired.
Are we talking lighting here?
Talking lighting down there.
Back there.
Yep.
Okay.
And making the call.
She is the sarcastic one. I wonder where she gets it from when she's on the Jungle Cruise.
Did you have sort of any other ideas for like theming or the name of a coaster, or did you just?
The name we went around and around on. Okay, so the ride itself, we really did not talk much about or to other manufacturers. We knew we wanted something different that didn't exist anywhere else. So the only place, the fact that it was in Georgia, checking the ride out, it was a smaller version. We knew there wasn't one on the West Coast. Worked directly with Gerstlauer and said, here's the plot of land, what can you do with it? With a ride that didn't have enough elements to it. So we said, okay, what if you went a little further to the south, and we took out the merchandise building that was also still standing there, and the building that we were going to use for the electrical vault, and that's where we got the different elements. So we've been with Gerstlauer since the beginning. That was the original idea we had in it. As far as the theming, the boardwalk we've been establishing over the years, it really started with the accelerator went in. What accelerator, the story for the boardwalk is, and you'll notice it's Lee's last stand, you're supposed to be leaving the town and going out as you get to the ocean. That's why it's called Lee's last stand. So it started way back in 2000. As you came out, we had the pool for perilous plunge, and we maintained the water statement just so you were along the boardwalk. And then the sand theme was to tie into the existing theme of the area. So it's been a mesh ever since we started with the accelerator.
Will you have a theming queue too?
It'll be, the landscape inside will be a beach theme, and then we're looking at stamped concrete or colored textured concrete, so there'll actually be like shells in there and impregnated into the sand, and then the shade floss over it.
Nice.
Thanks.